thing with you plastics. You think that everybody is in love with you when actually everybody hates you. Like Aaron Samuels, for example, he broke up with Regina, and guess what? He still doesn't want you. So why are you still messing with Regina, Katie? I'll tell you why, because you are...
Mean Girls. It's directed by Samantha, Jayne, and Arturo Perez Jr. and stars Reneé, Rapp, Angourie, Auli'i, Cravalho, Jaquel, Spivey, Avantika, Bebe, Tina Fey, Tim Meadows, Christopher Briney, John Hamm, Busy Phillips, and Jenna Fischer. And just like the original movie from 20 years ago, is written by Tina Fey. And I want to just quickly speak to the original movie because going into this movie, my connection with the source material was a little more complicated than a lot of other people. I know a lot of people have a deep connection to the original movie. A lot of people kind of fell in love with it through the Broadway show, or that just added on. But I saw the original movie for the first time back in middle school, and it was sort of against my own will, quote unquote. And so I was very resistant to it and sort of had a predetermined negative reaction where I was like, there's girls in it and I don't like it, I don't get it, blah. But I noticed that as the years went by and I thought about the movie, or the movie came up when I was talking to people, I wouldn't say negative things about it because I was like, I was kind of a dumb little idiot. And I bet if I watched the movie now, because I love 30 Rock and I love a lot of the actors in the movie, I kind of knew that I would love it. But I never got around to rewatching it, and as the new one approached closer and closer, I thought, I'll just put that off. I'll rewatch it after I see the new one. And so I went into this new one with no predetermined feelings about, I didn't have a deep love for the original. I didn't have a deep familiarity with the songs of the musical. And as a result, those things did not hinder my viewing experience, and I had a pretty fantastic time with Mean Girls. I do kind of want to first speak to the musical aspect of the movie, especially because there have been a lot of jokes, rightly so, about how the marketing for this movie has kind of avoided revealing that it's a musical, kind of similar to the Wonka movie, and there was a tweet that fit that very well that I'm going to put on screen now. Like I said before, as someone who wasn't familiar with the musical aspects going into this movie, I found that it all worked kind of really well for me. Pretty much all the songs I enjoyed during the movie, even if there weren't really any true showstoppers or songs where I was just like, this is absolutely shredding. They were all, for the most part, pretty solid, and a big part of why those sequences were so solid for me is because of the direction from Samantha, Jayne, and Arturo Perez Jr. They bring a lot of life to those sequences, and, looking at their IMDb's, they don't seem to have done a lot of other work in this area, and so I'm very curious about the story of them directing this movie, but either way, they did a great job, and a big reason why their direction feels as lively as it does is because of the absolutely fantastic cast in this movie. Reneé Rapp is an absolute superstar. Rachel McAdams' performance as Regina George in the original is absolutely bulletproof. But if there's anything that could make a little dent, it's this performance from Reneé Rapp. She is fantastic as this character. She was born to play it. Every second she's on the screen, you can't take your eyes off her. And she is kind of blessed in this movie to bounce off of such a fantastic cast. Angourie as Katie is really great. I remember first seeing her in The Nice Guys, and seeing her now leading a Mean Girls movie, a huge movie, is really great and well-deserved. I also loved Auli'i Cravalho and Jaquel Spivey as Janice and Damien. Damien in particular was absolutely hilarious. He had a lot of my biggest laughs in the movie, and Auli'i Cravalho was one of the better performances. Also just want to quickly run through the rest of the supporting cast. Avantika and Bebe as the other Mean Girls, fantastic, so funny. Tina Fey and Tim Meadows reprising their roles, great, awesome. And little shout outs to Christopher Briney, John Hamm, Busy Phillips, and Jenna Fischer. Really great cast, especially Jenna Fischer as Angourie mom. That was inspired casting. A big part of the reason the cast is so good is the screenplay from Tina Fey. Of course she wrote the original one, and not only does she come back to reprise her role as Miss Norbury, but also to write the screenplay. And obviously she's been very involved with this process from the beginning, but she does a great job job of capturing the spirit of the original movie while also making this kind of its own thing. She does a great job of sort of modernizing the story. Even though it's only 20 years ago, there are a lot of changes, and she brings social media into the movie in a very effective way. When I first saw a TikTok clip on a giant movie screen, I sort of started cringing, but I found the way they used it to be pretty effective, and I didn't mind it at all. I will say, while the movie was really funny and I had some big laughs, it wasn't as consistently funny as I would have liked. Very small thing, but something of note nonetheless. I will also say another thing to that effect. I found that more often than not, the transition from dialogue scene to musical performance was pretty awkward and abrupt most of the time. Like, there wasn't a lot of finesse in those moments. Again, I could be overanalyzing it, but that's how I felt. The last thing I will say, as well as kind of a negative for the movie, is obviously certain things happen to the Regina George character near the end, but just in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, it felt like the movie forgot about her a little too much. She does take a back seat a little, obviously, because Katie is the main character, but I just felt her absence a lot, and that could be a symptom of just the sheer brilliance of Reneé Rapp's performance, or it could be a flaw of the movie. Nevertheless, this movie was pretty great. I had a really awesome time seeing this in the theater. Lots of big laughs, a great cast, fun directing for the musical sequences. So yeah, I would absolutely recommend Mean Girls. I will say again, I was a little blessed by not having too much of a connection to the original source material of either the movie or the musical, but I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this movie if you just go into it with an open mind. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.